When people hear the phrase, "he needed five others to keep me happy," they usually assume it's about romance, attention, or some sort of scandal. But for me, in my life in Denver, Colorado, it was never about that. It was about love, community, and the unexpected way people can step in to fill the gaps of our brokenness. My name is Rachel Carter, and I was raised in a small suburban neighborhood outside Denver. I had always been the kind of woman who wore her heart on her sleeve. I loved deeply, sometimes too deeply, and trusted people even when I shouldn't. My husband, Michael Carter, was a good man, but life has a way of weighing heavily on even the strongest shoulders. When Michael fell into a deep depression after losing his job, our marriage began to strain. He was withdrawn, quiet, and seemed to carry the weight of the world. I tried to be patient, tried to remind him of his worth, but he often told me, "Rachel, I can't do this alone. I need help to keep you happy, to keep us together." At first, I didn't understand what he meant. I thought he was pushing me away. But in time, I realized he wasn't talking about leaving me or abandoning me. He was talking about something far more powerful, letting others in. The first person, my best friend, Emma. Emma and I had known each other since college. She lived just a few blocks away with her two children. When Michael asked her to step in more often, she began coming over with meals, laughter, and encouragement. She reminded me that friendship could carry someone through even the darkest storms. Emma became my safe place to talk. When Michael couldn't bring himself to open up, she filled in the silence with warmth. She was the first person who showed me that sometimes happiness is shared, not demanded. The second person, my father, John. My dad had always been a quiet man, retired from his job as a postal worker. But Michael, in his wisdom, reached out to him and asked him to spend more time with us. At first, I was confused. Why would my husband ask my father to be around more? But soon I understood. My dad's calm presence filled the house with steadiness. He mowed the lawn, fixed the squeaky doors, and sat with Michael on the porch without saying a word. It wasn't about conversation. It was about presence. My dad became the second anchor in the circle of support Michael was building for me. The third person, our pastor, David. Faith had always been important to me, but during Michael's struggle, I had drifted away from church. Pastor David, a kind-hearted man in his 40s, started visiting us after Michael asked him to check in. He reminded us that love wasn't just between two people, it was also in the way a community carries each other. He prayed with us, but more importantly, he listened. He helped Michael see that asking for help wasn't weakness but strength. The fourth person, my neighbor, Mrs. Thompson. At 72 years old, Mrs. Thompson was the last person I expected to play such a role in my life. She lived alone across the street, always tending her roses. But when Michael encouraged her to keep an eye on Rachel, she became like another mother to me. She would drop by with cookies, invite me to walk in her garden, and share wisdom that only age can bring. She told me stories of her late husband, of their struggles, and how she survived loss. Her presence reminded me that life moves on, and that happiness can grow even in unexpected seasons. The fifth person, my brother, Daniel. Finally, there was my younger brother, Daniel. We hadn't been close in years. Life had separated us, careers, distance, pride. But Michael asked him to reconnect. When Daniel came back into my life, he brought laughter I hadn't felt in years. He teased me, made me smile, and reminded me of the carefree girl I once was before adulthood weighed me down. He didn't try to solve my problems, he just helped me remember myself. Michael's gift. One evening, after all these people had woven themselves into my days, I found Michael sitting on the porch with tears in his eyes. "I couldn't keep you happy alone," he whispered. "But I knew 5 others could help me. I needed them because I love you, Rachel. I wanted you to have more than what I could give in my weakness." It was then I realized Michael hadn't failed me. He had loved me enough to build me a circle of strength when he couldn't carry the burden by himself. He hadn't let pride stop him from asking for help. How it changed me. Over the months that followed, I grew stronger, not just because of Michael, but because of Emma, Dad, Pastor David, Mrs. Thompson, and Daniel. Each one gave me something different. friendship, steadiness, faith, wisdom, and laughter. And slowly Michael began to heal, too. Watching me smile again, surrounded by the people he had gathered, gave him hope. He started to believe that he wasn't alone, and that love is never meant to exist in isolation.
Today,
Years later, when I tell this story, people still misunderstand the title. They think it means something scandalous. But to me, it means something beautiful. He needed 5 others to keep me happy isn't a confession of failure. It's a testimony of love, humility, and community. Because in Denver, Colorado, in a little house with peeling paint and creaky floors, I learned that happiness doesn't rest on one person's shoulders. It rests on the shoulders of many, if only we're willing to let them in. And that lesson has kept me happy ever since.